So 2 things of note. I never use my personal Twitter account. I don't think I've logged on in like a year and a half. So definitely communicate with the Evergreen BC account. And secondly, I noticed that we were not on the list of selected charities, but I want to change your mind about that, okay? So I don't know, I do have a PowerPoint. I don't know if it's, yay, awesome. So I guess I'll just say next slide. Okay, next slide. So who's heard of Evergreen before? Anyone? Yeah, a couple people? Okay, awesome. So basically, Evergreen is an environmental nonprofit organization, and what we do is connect people with nature. And basically, we want to bring nature back to cities because, you know, Vancouver's a pretty green place. It's pretty beautiful, but our head office is in Toronto, which is not necessarily the greenest city in the world. So across Canada, what we're trying to do is bring nature back into cities and do that by getting people out into green spaces and having them engage with nature because we feel that's the best way to make them care about it. So we have programs across Ontario, across BC, and in other provinces. And we work with community groups, individuals, businesses, schools. We really want to develop community across all levels of community. And we do a lot of work in Vancouver and in North Vancouver, but I'm going to try and focus on what we're doing in East Van. So next slide. So basically, this photo is taken from our Green City race that happened for Earth Day back in April, and we had 55 participants who had to do challenges across East Van, checking out green projects and sustainable living ideas, and they had to collect all this up, and they got prizes at the end of it. So here they're planting apple trees in our urban orchard, which I'll talk about a bit later. But ideally, what we want to do is get people into nature because it's really hard a lot of the time. You know, a lot of us spend most of our day in an office and then we go home and spend our time inside, or maybe we go to the gym if we're feeling like exercising. But particularly during the winter, it's really hard to get outside. And I, for one, definitely feel that. Like if I haven't been outside in a week for some reason, I just get super antsy. Like I need to be outside and experience nature and just be surrounded by trees once in a while. And you know, we feel like maybe a lot of people don't know how to get that experience. Or they don't know where to go, they don't know where to start. So a lot of what we do is trying to get people out into nature to have that experience and really appreciate what we've got here in Vancouver. We've got some great parks. And what I really love about what we do is that there's a tangible difference at the end of the day. So, you know, maybe we get a group of volunteers out to a park and they remove a whole bunch of native or invasive weeds, or they plant native plants. And at the end of the day, you can see the difference. You know, there's new trees there, or we've cleared a whole area. Or at the community garden that we run, maybe, you know, you don't see the difference right away, but you've planted some seeds and you come back in a couple of weeks and there's a tiny green sprout. And in a couple of months, you get a huge zucchini. And, you know, for a lot of people, that's an amazing experience. Like the first time I harvested a zucchini, I was like, holy crap, it's huge. And it's just such a fulfilling experience to see what you can do with your own 2 hands when you just get a little bit dirty. So next slide. So as I mentioned, one of the programs that we do is park stewardship. So there's a lot of parks around Vancouver that we work in. The one we've started working with in East Van is Renfrew Ravine, which is kind of around 27th Street in Renfrew, if any of you live near that area. And so what we're doing in that park is we're going in and trying to restore it to its natural beauty. So what you see in a lot of the parks around Vancouver is that they've been taken over by invasive species. Who could name an invasive species in this room? Yeah? Yeah, good one.
Which one?
Purple loosestrife.
What are those little yellow guys?
Buttercups?
Yeah, buttercups.
Buttercups, super invasive. Yeah, anyone else? Blackberry. And a lot of people hate to hear that because I know we all like to eat the blackberries, but if you let them go, they'll take over an entire ecosystem and it can be really destructive. So yeah, we get people into the parks, we give them the right tools, and we show them how to remove this invasive plant material, which basically, if it were left to grow, would destroy all the native plants, which are really important for animal habitat. And once that's cleared out, people get to plant new plants, which is pretty great. Oh my gosh, it's going so fast. Okay, we also do water quality monitoring, so people get to go into the rivers. Oh, here we're removing some holly, yay. Next slide. So water quality testing, people get to see, you know, how the water is affected by us living nearby it, and monitor that over a long period of time. So that's pretty cool. And then the programs that I run are urban agriculture programs. So we have an urban orchard that I mentioned. We have 60 dwarf apple trees that are just over at the Great Northern Way campus, which is like just up here. So anytime you're in the neighborhood, drop by. So we're growing these apple trees partly for research and partly for the community and just to create a space for people to come and hang out. You know, it's not an area with a ton of green space. So often we'll find in the summer we'll go out there at lunchtime and all the local construction workers are having their lunch in there, and it's really awesome. And we get kids down there all the time learning about trees and why local and organic food is important. Next slide. And this is part of an annual celebration we do. That's awesome. So basically, we love to bring youth together and particularly diverse communities to learn about food and organic agriculture and how that's important for the environment and how it can connect people as well. I think that's most of the important stuff. Drumming, yay. Awesome. This is all in the urban orchard. And like I mentioned, youth and multiculturalism, we've done some cool work with the city promoting multicultural dialogue and anti-racist training for local youth. And then they go back out into the community and share that with their peers and start up projects that help to promote diversity. And those are the kids I get to work with their first harvest. Look at those zucchinis, seriously. Huge. Oh, and this we can skip. We also grant money to a lot of organizations. So these are just some organizations in East Van that we've given money and support to start their own green projects. So you might recognize some. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Thank you, Ellen.